Hello and good evening. So I am currently at the end of day one of living by the Tao. So today I have put into practice what I've followed, what I've endeavoured to be part of is chapter one or verse one of the Tao Te Ching. So what have I done? How have I interpreted it? So I'll just read a few lines to you from verse one or chapter one of the Tao. The Tao, the way. The way that can be spoken is not that of the constant Tao. The name that can be named is not a constant name. Nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. To name things and to be named is the mother of all things. Thus, the constant void enables one to observe and engage in the true essence. So how have I interpreted that? How have I brought that idea, that conceptual idea into everyday life? So today I have deliberately taken that to mean that to do as much as possible, not to name things, not to label things, and just allow things to be as they are. And how do we know that's true? Well, my name is Ian Pitchford, but that's not what I am. Because if you were to give me a different name, then I would still be me. As Wayne says in the book, in some languages we call it water, in other languages we call it vasa, and if we were to enter into Portuguese or Spanish, we'd probably call it agua. But it is the same thing. So actually, the naming of things is kind of at times irrelevant, and maybe the naming of things are the things that stop them being all they can be. Is that when we name something, we actually create a perimeter or a boundary or a label around it, and so I've deliberately spent all of today stepping out of naming things or labeling things. What does that mean? That basically means that I've focused today a lot on simply just experiencing the world. Not labeling it, and certainly as I've experienced the world. So being very, very conscious. And actually this hasn't been too challenging today, because for those of us that live a life where we spend a lot of time focusing on being very mindful, then actually the emotions that we experience, the sensations in our body, I've made a real effort today to not at any point in time go, I feel happy or joyful. I've just simply noticed how I experience that sensation in my body, and I've just noticed the thoughts that come from that, and very much spent most of the day working really hard just to be able to go with the flow. Like a surfer on a wave, like a sailor in the wind, is just to be part of it, to be part of whatever I'm experiencing, to in no way be opposed to it, to no way fight it, just to simply allow myself to be able to just to go with whatever I've experienced. And it's been really fascinating, and it's been fantastic. What has been a challenge is having conversations with other people. We're sometimes very dependent and reliant upon labelling things in order to be able to share an idea with someone else. So to have a conversation today, many conversations today, with all sorts of people that I've met over the course of the day, and to simply just to be aware and to recognise that I experience some stuff and I'm not going to label it, but then to be able to describe that to other people has been quite fascinating, because they've wanted you to sort of cut to the chase and go, do you mean you're happy? And I went, well, and of course we're suddenly left in a dilemma now, because you say yes, because they now hear the word happy and will interpret it in the way in which they believe it to be true, rather than actually paying attention. There's a phrase that I use all the time around, do you listen or do you wait to speak? And that's been really evident today with how many people don't actually listen to you. What they do is they wait to speak, and that when we talk, although people believe that sometimes they're listening, but what they're doing is they're analysing and using your words to be able to create their own internal experience of what they believe that you've experienced. Whereas when you go, do you know what? I've just got a strange sensation in my tummy and it feels really warm, and it's okay. And just to have those conversations. Now, not everyone's been comfortable necessarily that I've met over the course of the day with those conversations, but other people have, because they know what I'm up to, and just allowed me to be minimal around my words and just to be able to go with the flow and experience the world as it is. Has today, day one, been a challenge? No, not really. It's just been a beautifully lovely day, and less has been very definitely more. And for those of you that try and live and focus hard on living a very mindful life and being very present in every experience, and just allowing those experiences to be as they are, then actually it's been really cool. I made a couple of notes, so I'm just looking down at my book. So the other thing that's led me to believe and led me to work really hard on is just the benefit of curiosity. I would always consider myself to be a really curious individual, but I think I'm probably curious on a really grand scale around how stuff works and how to experience things and what's over there, as opposed to today I really noticed myself being curious on a really micro scale. So I've been curious about how I've experienced sensations. I've been swimming in the sea today, just actually how has different bits of me experienced the cold water, and just been really, really, really powerfully curious. I've also noticed today that I have desired things less. What do I mean by that? Outcomes. We all have, I think, at times, or experience sort of low-level outcomes. I'd like to be able to do that. I'd like to have that happen next. Oh, wouldn't it be great if? And not necessarily on a big scale, but just on a small scale, an understanding of how we think the next couple of moments in life might pan out, or whether you're going to go and get a cup of tea and so on and so forth, or whether, I don't know, just we have a relationship between cause and effect, and that we, as we experience some things, we expect other things to happen. So I've noticed that by not labelling things, I've not had the same desire, but what's replaced it has been this level of curiosity and almost an excitement about the mystery. And the day today feels, I think my final thoughts would be, is today has been a complete and utter mystery, and it's been a fantastic mystery in order to be able just to allow it to unravel. And it's not been a mystery that's needed to be solved, because it was going to solve itself. The day was going to happen regardless, but actually just experiencing and being part of the mystery of the day has felt incredibly adventurous and incredibly exciting, and has just been really lovely. And whilst they're all things that feel incredibly familiar, it just feels as though it's been really invigorating to spend as much time as possible just allowing things to be. So I'll let you know tomorrow how day 2 goes. Please feel free to offer some thoughts and comments. The only comment that's been given so far is that perhaps I share with you at the end of each day what I'm going to be focusing on tomorrow. I'm not that keen on that at this moment, because that would mean potentially I'd have to be very disciplined to myself to not try and live the future whilst I'm living the present. So essentially, the way that I've chosen to do this is that the very last thing I do before I go to sleep is to reaffirm myself with what I'm going to wake up, and from the moment I wake up, the path that I'm going to follow and focus on that day. So that's the way that I prefer to do it. Maybe I could throw something up in the comments But anyway, I look forward to talking to you all again tomorrow, and feel completely blessed at what a beautiful day I've had today.